Hi everyone, it's H from Aftermarket Arbitrage, and in this video I'm going to be going through step by step how you can make £3,000 in profit every single month doing wholesale. And we're going to go through a bit of a deep dive into actionable steps that you can take and the numbers that are involved when it comes to achieving 3k in profit every single month. Now, something I want to say before we get started and go through all this is that wholesale is a volume game, right? It is literally a numbers game. Every aspect of the business is numbers, right? Volume. So what I mean by that is, very simply put, the more suppliers you contact, okay, the more accounts you will get open, the more products you will get access to, the more prices you'll get access to, the more profitable products you'll get access to, and the more profit you'll make, right? It's as simple as that, okay? It's a numbers game, it's a volume game, right? If you contact, let's say, 1,000 suppliers and you get access to, let's say, 100,000 products, obviously you're gonna find more profitable products and develop better relationships, right? So now with that being said, let's go through what we have here. Now, first of all, okay, the first thing that's fundamental is your outreach, okay? Now what I've put here is, let's say you contacted 50 suppliers a week, whether they be wholesalers, distributors, brands, all right, 50 a week. Now I'm not talking about 50 rubbish ones a week, okay? 50 easily accessible ones a week. I'm talking about 50 high quality vetted suppliers a week, right? Suppliers in good positions within the supply chain, brands which have opportunities for you to obviously stock on Amazon, right? 50 of them a week, that's 200 a month, okay? So let's say you outreached to 200 suppliers a month. That is vital, right? Your outreach. That's the first step of the business, right? Identifying the right sorts of suppliers and brands, first of all, finding them, sourcing them, and then outreaching. So let's say the next part of the process, the next step is account opening and rapport building. Reaching out to these companies, developing relationships with them, yeah? Starting the relationships and getting accounts open. So let's say out of these 200 that you contact, 30 of these you get an account open with. Okay, and I've been a bit conservative there, just because for the sake of this example, I didn't want to say, look, you're going to open up 200 accounts, right? Let's say you get accounts open and you build a good rapport up with 30 of them. So what I mean by rapport building is accounts obviously that you've contacted them, you've developed, or you started off on the right foot essentially. You've got your business ethos across to them and they want to work with you, right? They're willing to work with you. They like what you're about, they like what your company is about, and they're willing to work together, right? That's where we come into step 3, which is price list analysis and negotiation. So we've got these accounts open, we've started the rapport building, which has led us to get accounts open. Okay, so let's say we've got access to price lists because we've got that account open, we've built the rapport, so we've got access to price lists, so we begin going through price lists, right? And I'm not talking about your basic plug these price lists in a software, no. I'm talking about in-depth analysis of these price lists, right? Using certain strategies and techniques to find listings on these price lists that other people just simply won't be able to find. Strategies to identify profits that other people won't be able to find, right? For example, I'll say to a lot of people, we could look at the same price list, I'll place a £5,000 order, you'll think it's a bad supplier because you lack an understanding of how to actually go through price lists. So we conduct a price list analysis, negotiate, right? Offer value, so this is value proposition. So after opening up the accounts and building rapport, so we've got 30 accounts open, right? But then after going through the price list correctly, after attempting negotiation, offering value to these companies with a value proposition, and placing an order, we've managed to convert 10 accounts. So of these 30 we got open, okay, we managed to dig a bit deeper and actually place orders with 10 of them. Okay, because obviously not all suppliers that you have come through this funnel, right, are going to be perfect for you to work with. So let's say you outreach to 200, 30 you managed to get accounts with, yeah, and 10 you managed to go through a price list, negotiate an offer value and place an order. Now the reason why I put 10 there, which is quite a high number, right, is because there are cases, like typically, like I've got here, you've got 3 which will actually work, but the reason why I put 10 there is because there's certain strategies and there's certain orders which you want to place with suppliers which are value-based, right? Which is like data suggests that if we place an order with this supplier, for example, taking lower margins on the first order, on the second, third, fourth order, the real profits might be there. So in essence, you could call some of these orders that we've placed with these 10 a bit of a calculated risk, right? Which is sometimes involved. Like you'll have suppliers which first order, maybe low margin, let's say 20% ROI. Second order, as your relationship develops, as your orders develop, 25% ROI. Third order, 30% ROI, and they're willing to source in stock for you from their suppliers. They're willing to move a bit on pricing, offer you terms. Right, that's the reason why I've put 10 there and gone a bit high, because there will be calculated risks that you can take with some of these 30 when you're doing it to a high level. So we've got our price list analysis, your negotiation, offering value, and placing an order. So let's say, to break this all down, we find 200 companies, which we outreach to a month. We get accounts open with 30, start the relationship building. We go through the price lists, negotiate, offer value, and place orders with 10 of these guys. And then what we want to do is evaluate these orders, okay? What ASINs performed well, as expected? What ASINs didn't perform well? Did they perform poor to a point where we drop them? Now, using this information, we go in and renegotiate the ones that did well. Okay, what can we do with these ASINs? That's something for you to think about. The ones that didn't do well, what do we not do with these ASINs? Now, all of this stuff we do cover in the academy in extreme depth. So if you want any help with any of this, right, click the link in the description and book a free call and we'll see how we can help you. But back to this. So we evaluate and renegotiate. So we see how the orders from these 10 suppliers went and go in and renegotiate and replay, right? So we conduct an evaluation, renegotiate and replay. So let's say of these 10 that we place, there are 3 bulletproof suppliers, right? Whereby we've gone in, we've evaluated their first order, they've performed well. The competitors haven't tanked, right? The ASINs are stable, okay? And they performed as expected, right? So let's say 3 of these are bulletproof, whereby they're consistent, stable and scalable. Now what I mean by that is their suppliers other people won't be able to find, okay? Because of how we've located them. You've renegotiated very good pricing, so you have an understanding that, okay, not many people will be able to get this price point. And also, you may have developed an extremely good relationship with these suppliers and sourced in stock from them. So therefore, from these 10, which you place an order with, 3, you can place consistent orders with every single month, right? So now, what I want to do is have a look at the numbers of this and break down what 3K a month in profit actually is. So 3K a month in profit is 100 quid a day in profit, right? That's 10 ASINs making £10 in profit a day. Let me say that again, that's 10 ASINs making £10 in profit a day. Do you know how doable that is if you know what you're doing? It's so doable. Let's say it's so doable. Let's say, like, for example, you'll have suppliers which stock 50,000 products, 20,000 products, okay? you will be able to find 10 products that make £10 profit a day, okay? But it's just making sure you understand what you're doing, making sure you're contacting and outreaching to the right sorts of suppliers, making sure you know how to build rapport with these suppliers, you understand how to negotiate, offer value to these guys, okay? So obviously, now you might be thinking, where have the 7 from here gone, right? Maybe 7 of these, the products which you stocked from them, while at first glance and first analysis all looked rosy and fine to go with, upon evaluating the data of these, right, and evaluating the performance of these, you realize that we've stocked them and they did not perform as expected, okay? So obviously that may happen with 7 other suppliers, or let's say a couple of them were calculated risks to see if you could get into the door with one of these suppliers and then perhaps leverage that first order in the second order in terms of negotiation and whatnot, and you just came to a standstill with them, right? And they weren't willing to budge even after you spent money with them. So that's why you may see a fall off there, because obviously not every order is going to perform as expected. And let's not forget, these initial orders are going to be slightly smaller than these orders which you want consistency and stability with. Because obviously the first order you place with the supplier is never, well, it's unlikely to be a month's worth of stock, MOQ permitting, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So we've got 3 per month then, which we want to be replenishing with. And then you've got to understand, we will then see compound interest come into place, because now we've got 3 stable suppliers, right? Next month, we run down the same funnel. At the end of month 2, 6 stable suppliers. But let's not forget, sometimes ASINs within these suppliers will drop off. So how we want to build this portfolio looks a bit like, let's say with these suppliers, we have 20 ASINs, right? Next month, we have 60 ASINs. But some suppliers, or sorry, some ASINs from what these suppliers may drop off. Well, so we might have 20 ASINs and 60 ASINs and 45 ASINs and 70 ASINs. So that's how we want to grow the portfolio. So every single month, we are going down this little funnel essentially, and then adding to this pipeline of suppliers and products which we have to achieve the profits which we get every single month, right? And just reiterating that, right? So like I said, it's a numbers game, and at the end, essentially, all we want to be doing is this: outreaching to the right sorts of suppliers, building relationships with the right sorts of suppliers, negotiating, placing initial orders, evaluating how these initial orders perform, okay? Ones that don't do well, okay, you know those suppliers aren't going to do well to enable you to hit your goals. The ones that do well, double down with them, okay? So these 3 per month, whereby the first order's gone well, go back, double down, renegotiate, try and offer some more value, okay? And now these are the ones that you can build your business around, right? Because you know these suppliers can help you achieve this. Because obviously these suppliers aren't going to be crap suppliers, right? These are going to be heavily vetted suppliers as long as you're contacting the right sorts of companies. For example, the reason why I have these advantages here is because I know if you know what you're doing, you can have the right sorts of suppliers. You're going to be outreaching to the right sorts of suppliers. However, if you outreach through to a rubbish supplier and it somehow makes its way down the funnel, which is highly unlikely, you're not going to achieve these results. If you outreach to the right sorts of suppliers, let's say, for example, a distribution company in Poland, right, that stocks Colgate. If you get through all this, you know that when you get here, it's more than likely to be consistent, stable, and scalable. Instead of, let's say, you do Colgate Wholesale UK and you find, let's say, CN Wholesale, for example, you might get through here and then you're not going to achieve those results, even if on the first order it does do well, okay? That's why you've got to make sure every single step of this, you are doing it to a much higher level, right? So essentially every point of this funnel, it's like, how can I say it? It's like if it doesn't work, it will literally drop out. For example, if you outreach to the wrong sort of supplier, you're going to get to that first order and it's going to drop out. Okay, so the whole point is we're contacting the right sorts of companies, and every stage of this we're doing the correct thing, okay, to a high level. So when we do get to this last part of these 3 suppliers a month, they are consistent, stable and scalable. And then it's just a case of rinse and repeating and compounding, like I said, whereby you're going to be having every single month a pipeline of profitable suppliers and ASINs, right? And obviously the good thing about that is, let's say one of these suppliers drops off in month 2 or 3 for whatever reason, right? The next month's supplier will take its place and some more, because obviously you'll get another X amount of suppliers jumping onto the bandwagon. But yeah, like I put there, it's easy, question mark. Now the reason why I put a question mark there is because when you break down what's actually going on, it's easy. But you have to have an in-depth understanding of it and understand that, okay, all we are doing is we just need access to 10 products which make £10 profit, or 10 aces which make £10 profit a day. That is so doable. Okay, and especially when you know what you're doing and you contact the right sorts of companies. Okay, so I hope that gave everyone a bit more of an insight into step by step how you can make 3K, 4K, that could literally say whatever K you want doing wholesale. Okay, and it's just so doable if you know what you're doing. But yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. If you want any help with starting or scaling your wholesale business, click the link in the description and have a chat with either me or one of the team, see how we can help you out. And I hope you found this useful. But yeah, just remember, it is the wholesale business. You can hit whatever targets you want as long as you know what you're doing and you're willing to put the work in. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.